Alright, this is going to be AP Calculus Self-Check 5.1 Solutions. If you're watching this video, that means you've given yourself 8 minutes and you have worked your way through all 4 of these problems. Let's go through these one by one. For number 1, this is the definite integral of x minus 3. This is just applying the definite integral to each of these parts. So if I integrate, it's going to be x squared and then divide down, so 1/2 x squared. And if I integrate, that's going to be minus 3x, and evaluation bar from 0 to 4. And plugging that in, 4 squared is 16, half of that is 8. This turns into 8. Sorry, I should do it all out. 8, and then this is going to be minus 12. 8 minus 12 is negative 4. So the first substitution yields negative 4. And I'm going to subtract. Plug in 0 gives you 0. So answer here is negative 4. C. Number 2. So this one, we don't like fractions in calculus. If you can avoid them, avoid it. So this is the same thing as the integral or the antiderivative of x to the negative 2. Now that we got rid of the fraction, this is much easier to deal with. So that's going to turn into, I'm going to add 1 to the power, so negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1, so it's x to the negative 1. And don't forget to divide down, so if I divide by negative 1, so if I say all that divided by negative 1, that's the same thing as saying negative 1 times x to the negative 1, so negative x to the negative 1. And don't ever forget your plus c. So there it is, D. Number 3. So this one looks like it might be Taxman. Oh, Taxman is knocking on the front door. No, that's not going to work because if you take the derivative of this, you're going to have a variable rate, and you can't pay the Taxman a variable rate. So let's go ahead and just distribute this square root of x into each of these terms, and then it should be pretty straightforward from there. So I still have my integral from 0 to 1, and if I distribute square root of x times x, and remember, that's x to the 1/2, and you're multiplying that by x to the 1. When you have same bases, you add the exponents. 1 plus 1/2 is 3/2, so I have x to the 3/2 plus x to the 1/2. All of that is multiplied by d of x, of course. It doesn't really matter for multiple choice, but I'm just showing you the formal work here. And now I can apply this this definite integral to both of these terms. So antiderivative of x to the 3/2, I'm going to go up a power, x to the 5/2, x to the 5/2, and divide down, so times 2/5. Oops, should have silenced my cell phone. Alright, so from there I'm going to do the second part, which is x to the 1/2, and that's going to become plus x to the 3/2. Oops, I should have given myself some room. X to the 3/2, and then divide by 3/2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2/3, and evaluation bar from 0 to 1. Right, plugging in. If I plug in 0, I can see ahead. 0 is going to make everything 0, so I only really need to plug in 1. When I plug in 1, it's going to be 1 to the 5/2 is 1, and this is 1 there. So it's really just adding the fractions, 2/5 plus 2/3. So that's the same thing as 2/5 plus 2/3. I need like denominators because we need to have like denominators. There's no unsimplified answer down here. That's going to become, multiply that by 5 and that one by 3. So it's going to be 6 over 15 plus 10 over 15, and 16 over 15 is the answer. The answer is C. All right, moving on to number 4, the last problem. All right, so for this one you have to use U substitution, and you might not know which one to choose for the U, but make U be the biggest guy. In general, you want to get the biggest guy because when you take the derivative, this constant 1 will go away, and then you'll get this for the derivative of the U, the du. So what does that look like? So we're going to say U, that's going to be set equal to, oh, pen, come on, work. U is going to be set equal to 1 plus e to the power of x. That means du, I don't know what's going on with my handwriting here, du is going to equal derivative of u. So derivative of 1 is 0, derivative of e to the power of x is e to the power of x. This is du with respect to dx, by the way. It's with respect to whatever that number was. And we want to find what dx is because we want to sub in something for this dx. So dx is equal to, and then if I solve for that, that's going to be du divided by e to the power of x. All right, I have all three of these things, so all three of these things, oh, that was a little bit into the, oh dear God, here we go. All three of these things imply that my integral is now the integral of e to the power of x, all divided by u, and then d of x is now du over e to the x, so du over e to the x. And you can see here that e to the x is going to cancel each other out, and you're really left with, oh, I kind of messed up in my steps here. I think it'll be fine though. I should have moved this to the numerator so I don't have a fraction. I don't think it's going to mess us up, but it might. I'll go ahead and do it again outside the video to make sure I got it right. But I think this is going to be the integral of u to the negative 1 du. And from there, I need to take the antiderivative. So next step here is oh, that's a weird arrow. I take the antiderivative, and that is a special antiderivative that we learned because you can't just add 1 and it becomes 0 and then divide by 0. It breaks the rules. Whenever you're dividing by 0 and you're taking the antiderivative, that should let you know that you are actually looking for the natural log of u. And that is the answer, but we need plus c, and we need the u to be turned into an x. So it's the natural log of u, we said to be 1 plus e to the x, 1 plus e to the power of x, plus c, and do we have that natural log of, yep, b for the final answer. So you can stop the video now. I'm just going to check to make sure I didn't mess up by not bringing this up to the numerator really quick. So if I take the derivative of this function, derivative of natural log, it's 1. I'm going forward now, so I'm saying what is dx of that function, and that will be derivative of natural log is 1 over whatever the inner is, 1 plus e to the power of x times dinner, and dinner is going to be e to the power of x. Power of x. Is this the same thing that I was given? It is. Okay, so I checked my work. It is verified. Correct answer is B. All right. Make sure you do self-check 5.2. Give yourself, I don't know, is it 4 problems? I haven't actually looked ahead. 2 minutes per problem, and look for the video solutions next. All right, thanks.